Guys, this right here is some powerful shit. Pay attention.
Who we really are, and we are impeding our ability to truly move forward as a community or as a nation.
Y'all know about that. That's where Martin Luther King was killed. Man.
We're at
Fucking Memphis, Tennessee, man. That's fucked up.
the Lorraine Motel. And right outside room 306, there's a reef, which is approximately where Dr. King was standing when he was shot down.
I ain't never heard of Buddy before this shit, but I fuck with him for real. Like, he well educated, he well rounded. Like, y'all gonna see.
And if you look across the street, there's a building over there from where the shot.
Man, that shit was planned, man. From across the fucking building, man. Come on, man.
Were fired. It was a shot that almost couldn't miss. Exactly 1 week before Dr. King was shot.
Look how well protected he was, bro. That man had 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. That man had like 11 fucking people around him, man.
Here in downtown Memphis to support striking sanitation workers. And my dad took my older brother and I to that demonstration. It broke into violence. And my dad told us to run. It's difficult to think about now because there was a young black teenager named Larry Payne who lost his life that.
I never heard about this shit until I watched this shit. Larry Payne, R.I.P. to his family, R.I.P. to that shit. I never heard about that shit before this shit. I swear to God.
He encountered a police officer and was killed. And it's just one of those events.
Look at that shit. They filming this shit. How traumatizing is that, bro? I never heard of this. For real, bro. They don't teach us shit in school about our history.
In my childhood, that made me realize how lucky I was. How lucky I was not to end up like Larry Payne. And how
Larry Payne. Remember that name, y'all. Larry Payne.
lucky I was to have come out of Memphis in the way that I did.
Just walked up and hit that man. Walked up and hit that man like that. Come on, man. They still do that shit to this day. That's why they just got fucking body cameras. That man burnt. He ain't had no fucking skin on his face. Dragging him like a fucking dog. Beating him in his head. Look at that shit. Man, moment of silence. Man, for Mr. MLK, man.
More tragic than to stop at this point in Memphis. We got to see it through.
Tonight, Jeff Robinson will tell us stories that we've not heard. Stories that we think we know.
Mr. Jeff Robinson.
But have not wrestled with their meaning yet. The story of us. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Jeff Robinson.
Y'all go get that book, man. Go get that fucking book. I gotta go get it too.
I was 11 years old in 1968. And to my young eyes, we had been on a path toward racial justice that was amazing. There was the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act. We were winning on buses and at lunch counters.
Yes, sir.
We were seemingly, to me, at a tipping point. where we were either going to roll forward with this incredible momentum on racial justice, or we could roll back. And then April 4th happened. And King got shot in the neck. And it felt like the whole thing just rolled back. Because then came Richard Nixon and the war on drugs. We're 50 years
If y'all know what the fuck he talking about, Richard Nixon, that's the crack epidemic.
later now. And once again, young activists in America are making Americans take a look in the mirror in terms of our true history of race and racial prejudice. Once again, the young activists are calling us to account.
Us.
Once again, America is having to look at issues of race dead in the eye, and once again, we are at a tipping point. And the question for all of us in this room is, what are we going to do about it? We are our own worst enemies when it comes to making true racial progress in America. And unless we are willing to take a long and hard look
That's what I be talking about. Black folks want to kill black folks. We fucking targeting each other. We putting our black women down. Come on, man. We got to come together, man. For real.
in the mirror, this concept of taking 2 steps forward and 3 steps backward is
Preach,
where
my
we
brother.
are going to continue moving in this country. In 2011, my wife and I became parents. My sister-in-law, who lived here in Queens, passed away, and we became the parents of her then 13-year-old son. If you ask Matthew Liam Brooks, what are you? He will tell you, I'm Puerto Rican, Taino, Indian, and African American. And he's very proud of that. And when I look at him, I say, I understand, dude, but you're a young black male. Because that's what America is going to see. And all of a sudden, the surface skimming that I felt like I had been doing on the history of race and what racism meant in America, it wasn't enough. And so I started reading more. And I found myself getting angry and feeling ignorant.
Me and you too, buddy.
I went to Marquette University and I graduated from Harvard Law School. I've had one of the best educations in America, and I started learning stuff about the history of race in this country that I had never heard before. And I thought, how could I not have known this? How could I not have been taught this? And I started thinking, if I don't know this, I wonder how many other people don't know.
That's when it hit me too, y'all. That's when it fucking hit me too. When I'm doing all this research and I'm seeing all these black inventors, I'm like, brother, if I don't know this shit and I'm well, you feel me, reading all this shit, just because I look like this, I'm doing all this shit and I don't know, who else don't know?
Slavery had nothing to do with the war. That was
Ignorant
not the
ass
cause
dude
of
right here.
Southern states seceding. That was not the cause of the first shot being fired on that fort over there. It was about money. And it was not about slavery. It was about moral tariffs. It was about more money. Lincoln wanted to impose 45% more taxes on the southern states.
Taxes on
Southern states. Wow, look how he kill him. Look how he kill him.
the goods the southern states were producing. And those goods were essentially cotton, tobacco, and rice. Predominantly. And those goods were produced by slave labor. All of it. Isn't that right?
I mean,
95% of it? Isn't that right? If it's 95% produced by slave labor, enslaved people, and the North is saying, we're going to tax you on that because we want some of that money. And the South is saying, no, wait a minute, we're the ones producing it, so you shouldn't be taking the money. That money wouldn't exist without slave labor. I mean, that did affect the bottom line. Do you agree with that?
they chose to stay. In most cases, in the South, that's the way it worked. Because they were treated as family.
This nigga say slaves was treated like family. Oh my motherfucking God.
And they knew what they had, didn't know what they were being faced with if they left.
So your view is that enslaved people were treated as family? Then why wouldn't it be all right for me to own you as long as I treated you like family?
If that's the way economics work
Would you be satisfied with that?
in today's world,
In any world,
in today's time,
at any time.
That man is killing his ass. I'm learning how to put my words together and conduct myself in a manner like that because he killing them.
So was slavery
That's
evil?
what you see as a racist piece of shit.
I'm not denying that.
And this flag has nothing to do with that.
No. This was a soldier's battle flag.
And they said it
I
was
think I
soldiers.
need to- I'm a little
It was a
sick
soldier's battle flag for what fucking battle? What was the reason behind the battle, bro? Come on, bro.
today, and so I'm just standing in the heat. Thank you for talking to me. I will say that. I appreciate that. Thank you very much for
Yes, sir.
talking to me.
I'm surprised he touched his hand. I'm surprised he touched his motherfucking hand.
I needed to walk away. I am definitely interested in engaging with people that don't agree, but it seemed like facts were not that important to this gentleman. He knew that what he was saying made no sense whatsoever, but he believes it so deeply that he's unwilling to let go of it. So I don't know if he can be reached, but I know that if no one tries, he definitely won't change.
That's exactly how I feel, y'all. That's exactly how I fucking feel. Look at that. You got white people on the other side, bro. In hate now. Hate and is easier. Love takes courage. You know what I'm saying? Look, stop racism. Come on, man.
People aren't just good or bad. People are many things. Every person in this theater knows that's true. Because every one of us has been a saint or a sinner at some times in our life.
Facts.
And you know what? Countries aren't just one thing either.
Nope.
There are many things. America has demonstrated its greatness time and time and time again. And America is
Listen,
one of the
I'm
most
listening.
racist countries on the face of the earth. Those two things are not
Most racist. You motherfuckers better listen up. I've been trying to tell y'all that, but I'm tripping. Most racist.
mutually exclusive. It is not an either or. And the reason I'm asking us to think about this is that literally the future is at stake. Can I see a show of hands? How many people can see a triangle in the form on the board? Just throw your hands up. How about a circle? How about a star? The Star of David? You realize none of those shapes are on the screen. Not one of them. Not one of them. But what your brain does is to fill in the gaps so that the world makes sense. And we look at these shapes and we say, I kind of recognize them. And so we fill in the gaps so the world makes sense. And that doesn't have any problem when you're doing something like this. But the thing is that we can fill in the gaps on all sorts of things, including our judgments about people. And sometimes what we're filling in the gaps with comes from a really ugly place. This is the only time tonight I'm going to ask you to do this. I want you to work with me. And I'm going to ask you to loudly and quickly say the color, not the word. Are we ready? Ready? Go.
Red, yellow, blue, brown, red, yellow, green.
Faster.
I'm smart. I'm smart. Blue, brown,
This
red.
thing
That shit is hard.
is 80 years old. does is to simply demonstrate that you are making connections between the word and the color below your conscious level. You don't even know that you're doing it. And when that connection is broken, it actually takes just a little bit more time to get to the right answer. That is the heart of the science about unconscious bias.
That shit was hard as hell, y'all.
Whether it's unconscious bias or deliberate bias, the person experiencing it experiences exactly the same thing. If you don't get the job because a racist doesn't hire you or because somebody has unconscious bias, you still don't have a job. If you get arrested because somebody had bias to call the police because someone black is existing in space and they're nervous, whether it's unconscious or deliberate, you still have to deal with a law enforcement officer.
Guys, if y'all watching this, please listen closely.
Difference is meaningless when it is talking about the experience of the person who is victimized by it.
I'm over from DC. I'm sweating right now.
Another event I ain't know about.
I'm in my apartment, but you know, somebody called the cops on me in my own building. How many of y'all? About 6 of y'all showed up.
New at 5 o'clock, a rude welcome to the neighborhood for a man on the Upper West Side. He was moving into his apartment building when a half dozen NYPD officers suddenly showed up. Darren Martin streamed the encounter live on Instagram. He says one of his neighbors called the police thinking that he was actually breaking into the apartment, even claiming that he had a weapon.
So this is 106th Street in Manhattan.
Yep.
And on the night in question, looking at where this car is parked right here, is this where your U-Haul was?
Our U-Haul was parked right outside, right over there, where this car is. Right in front of the building.
And then it looks like 56 is right
Right over
here.
here, yeah. So this is the apartment that I was moving into. Yes, okay. And it's outside. It's a regular building. It's like any other walk up here, but I don't know what those cops' intentions were when they came in. They were looking for someone with a weapon. I could have been killed.
Can I go see my guy? Can I go upstairs? Why not? Why can't I go anywhere? What's the problem? I live here. What do you guys investigate?
6 officers for that one black man, bro. That's how this shit go.
Listen, they call, right? We doing our job, that's it. Who calls you? If you do nothing wrong, you good to go. Who calls you? Someone call us.
Well, I'm glad that this is nothing more than a cramped space in a hallway in an apartment building on 106th Street in New York, and not another landmark where another person from our community is killed by the police and we're asking why. The biases and prejudices.
And that's why you ain't hear about it, cause he didn't fucking die. That's why you ain't hear about it.
America are so deep in our DNA that sometimes we don't even recognize that they're there. Take the implicit association test if you haven't taken it. It's up on the Harvard website, and it tests your implicit or unconscious association on all kinds of things, on race, on gender, all kinds of things. And I was interested as I was looking at all of this information, so I went and took it, and it made a mistake, so I had to take it again. Because see, it gave these results, and it's like, that ain't me. So I took it again, and it had the same results. A negative impression of black males.
Fucking
A
crazy.
negative impression of myself. And I thought, where did that come from?
He said it looks like a bad dude. Guys, I can't no more. I'm going to discuss it. Who We Are, please go watch it. A Chronicle of Racism in America. Please go research and watch it up.